So Henry, I'm going to just ask you a few questions.
You go right ahead.
You're going to tell me all your
And
great life.
speak loud.
Okay. And if you could just make eye contact with me.
Okay.
Cool. So one of the series that you're most famous for is, of course, High Chaparral. How did you get that job?
At the time,
Oh, and if you could incorporate my question in your answer. So when I say, why did you start robbing banks? You could say, I started
Okay.
robbing banks.
okay.
How did you get the job on High Chaparral?
Well, I first got the job on High Chaparral. I had been doing a season of repertory at the Pasadena Playhouse with Monty Markham. And then I went and did a short little film for the state government. And in the process, I had changed my name from Enrique Delgado to Henry Darrow. And I found out that David Dortort, the producer of Bonanza, had seen me in the wonderful ice cream suit by Ray Bradbury and was looking for Henry Delgado. And then in I walk as Henry Darrow, and I already had read the script and had almost memorized it. I ad-libbed in Spanish and things like that. And I auditioned basically by doing it. I did everything. I spoke in Spanish, mandé unos gritos, yeah, whatever. And when I finished, there was the head of the network, David Dortort was there. The head of casting for NBC was there. Bill Claxton, the director, producer, was there. And when I finished, I said, well, I'm ready to audition. And David Dortort said, you just did him. He said, that's it. You've done him.
So did they have a sense of what this character would be, and how much did you actually give it to them? I mean, create this character?
Well, I can say that I created the character. One of the things that had happened was when David Dortort had seen me in the play, I played Martinez, who was a Romeo-like character. He even had a balcony scene, a love scene. And they looked at me and they went, okay. And the first day shooting was so-so. It was an attack by all the Indians in Tucson attacking the ranch, and nothing happened. It was like, oh, and they all looked at David Dortort saying, who the heck is this guy? And then the next day, I had a scene where I shot an Indian that was about to kill Leif Erikson, the star of the show. And I shot the Indian, I killed him, and Leif Erikson gets off this horse and it goes, phew. And he starts, his hands start to go down. I said, no, senor, hands up. I'm stealing your horse. And with that, I had worked with the gun guy. I found out that if I held the rifle up about 6 inches under my chin and loaded, there'd be a puff of smoke would come up, and that's exactly what I did. I came out of the bushes, loaded the gun with another bullet, and the smoke came up, and I said, no, senor, and he said, well, I said, no, I mean it. I'm taking your horse. And then he wound up by telling me that he wanted to meet Senor Montoya, who happened to be my father at the time.
At this time, you're a pioneer in terms of opportunities for Latinos in television and in motion pictures. Tell me what it was like at that time to even get a job. This was very exceptional, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. However, I was lucky in the concept that, in the way that I had an agent named Carlos Alvarado. And Carlos Alvarado handled only Latinos, only Hispanics. So the day I went up to his office, his nephew Val de Vargas was coming down the steps, and he was going into the Army. And I said, I'm going to see Mr. Alvarado. He says, hurry up, because I'm leaving, and he'll probably sign you. And he did. He signed me that same day, And then for years I started doing a couple of lines here, a couple of lines there. I had given myself 5 years to make it. Then I gave myself another set of 5 years. And then I was working on the third set of 5 years when I connected with this play, The Wonderful Ice Cream Suit, that David Dortort saw. And that made all the difference in the world. All of a sudden, everybody in Hollywood, Ray Bradbury, all the plays, short stories and plays that he had done, he was the darling. Ross Martin, Paul Newman, Jimmy Gardner came backstage and said, "Hey, let me buy you a beer." And so all of a sudden my career changed, and the next thing I'm in a series called High Chaparral for NBC for 4 years, playing a character named Manolito Montoya, and David Dortort hired more Hispanics than anyone else. I worked with Ricardo Montalban twice, and Fernando Lamas, and Alejandro Rey. Rodolfo Acosta won a Mexican Oscar. He was a regular. Roberto Contreras, and of course our leading lady was Linda Crystal. I played her brother, Manolito, and oh gosh, I worked with Tony Quinn in a series that he did, and Eddie Olmos, and then Tony Plana when he was doing Resurrection Boulevard. I worked with him, and it was opposite Rita Moreno, and she's the...
What do you remember most memorable moment in the High Chaparral?
Coming down the stairs, coming down the steps, because after I had stolen the horse, the federales were looking for me, and when I opened the door, I was upstairs with a lady of the night, and I saw Leif Erikson with Cameron Mitchell downstairs. I let out, "Ah! I stole your horse!" And I rushed downstairs, and they stayed on me all the way. And there was Cam Mitchell pouring tequila over my head, and it was wonderful. It was great. It was great.
You worked on The Man in the City with Anthony Quinn, didn't you?
Yes, Man in the City with Tony Quinn. Tony wanted to do, when he had his series Man in the City, he wanted to do major stories like Jack Klugman wound up doing when he did his series. And when he did the show and they didn't quite, the network didn't quite agree, it was, I don't know, the storylines were not that strong. They were a little on the weak side, but he was too big for the small screen. He was big.
What was it like working with him?
I opened the door to the studio, to the soundstage, and there was complete silence. And there wasn't a red light saying that they were shooting a scene. And I thought, holy cow, what's wrong? And what it was that Tony Quinn was rehearsing. And he didn't want anybody to be talking when he rehearsed. And one time we had a scene where I had to work with him, and he wanted me to call the police, and they were under me. I was a lieutenant, and he wanted me to call them Fuzz. And I said, I'm not going to call them Fuzz. And Greg Sierra played the like Justicia, the malcontent, and so he said, well, you take it. And so Greg Sierra just talked up a storm. He spoke over Anthony Quinn, and when I saw the show, most of what Greg did was cut out. He just overpowered Tony at that time. But it was a pleasure working with him because he's just a bigger-than-life actor.
One last question. You've got a new book out about your whole career. Tell me how that came about, and what do you think is the changes that you've seen in terms of opportunities for Latinos since you started?
Well, I have a book called Bottle in a lightning in the bottle. And when I started and did High Chaparral, it was the first time a Hispanic had gotten into a primetime nighttime series, and it was the first time where you had a Mexican family on the same level, and a better level, than with the Anglos. And at that time, if Dortor had hired 100 Latinos over the 4 years, that was damn good. But then along came Resurrection Boulevard, and they hired over 100 Latinos every year. So there were some positive changes all the way around. At this particular point, I don't know if there are things available, what's going on. I'm not certain. I know Jimmy Smits had a contract with CBS, and he became a producer, and that's about right now. That's all I know. But I don't know that there's any other series right now. I haven't seen any, and since there's so many reality shows.
Yeah. What do you hope to come out of the book?
Well, I know that there's a Western Channel, and they've had marathons of High Chaparral, and all of a sudden it's a whole new generation that sees me. And I was at a book signing in Memphis, and so the father of the 3 boys said, "Hey, this guy is Manolito." And they looked at me the way I look now, 40 years afterwards, and they said, "That's not Manolito. That's his father or something." And I said, no, that was 40 years ago, and they didn't quite gather what I meant. And so for them, I was just a guy with white hair and looking older.
Okay, good. Thank you very much.
Excuse me, I hate to interrupt. I'm so sorry, but I would like to get started. We'll have time to talk later. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Sarah Rodriguez. I'm the Director of Membership and Visitor Services, and on behalf of the Autry, I welcome you to the museum, and I'm so glad you have chosen to celebrate the start of Latino Heritage Month here at the Autry. We have a wonderful day planned. I encourage you to check out the Mata Ortiz show and sale upstairs in the lobby. That will be here throughout the day and all day tomorrow. Following this talk, there will be several contemporary authors discussing their work in the anthology Latinos in Lotus Land, which will start at 2 o'clock following this one in the Wells Fargo Theater. And don't forget to stop by the Imagination Gallery, where episodes playing throughout the day of Zorro and the High Chaparral, starring our very special guest. For over 5 decades, Henry Darrow has brought glory and pride to the Latino community. He has portrayed numerous characters on stage, television, and in film, including the title role in Zorro, and then later in his career playing Zorro's father for the Disney series. One of his most popular roles was that of Manolito Montoya in the High Chaparral. The series and the Manolito role are known as among the first significant and serious representations of Latinos on television. His countless guest star appearances on such series as Hawaii Five-0, Star Trek The Next Generation, Kojak, and more recently Resurrection Boulevard have endeared him to mainstream audiences. In 1984, he joined the cast of the daytime drama Santa Barbara, which I remember. The first daytime drama with a prominent Mexican-American characters. During his time on the show, He was awarded a Daytime Emmy for his portrayal as Rafael Castillo. And while his acting roles are many, his most important role to the Latino community is that of activist and trailblazer. In his new biography, Henry Darrow, Lightning in a Bottle, he recalls his work both on and off the stage. I'd like to just take a moment to welcome some other special guests that I've learned are here today. We have with us Rudy Ramos, who played the character Wind in the last series of High Chaparral. The character actor Pepe Serna is here. Pepe. And the producers of Resurrection Boulevard, Dennis Leon and Jesus Silvino. Following this talk, you'll have time to speak with him some more and get a book signed. The book is available upstairs in the Autry store. And without further ado, it's my honor to welcome Mr. Henry Darrow. Thank you.
I've got 3 pages, but I'll read fast. The year was 1954. The place was the University of Puerto Rico. My major was political science. And then for some reason I bumped into a friend of mine who was also into acting, and he told me there was a scholarship about acting and that there were 2 theaters available, and I happened to compete in one. One of the theaters was called the Neighborhood Playhouse in New York City, and then there was the Pasadena Playhouse. And I picked the Pasadena Playhouse after I found out that Pasadena was only 26 miles from Hollywood. And I thought Hollywood is my place, that's where I belong. And so the day after I arrived from Puerto Rico into the United States for the first time, I went to the marvelous Hollywood and Vine. And I waited for actors to show up. Pretty soon, one of the dead-end kids showed up, Leo Gorski. And there he was, crossing the street, walking towards me, and I thought, oh my God, Hollywood, I've made it! Some of the things that happened was, Ruth Buzzy was my classmate, and Ruthie, laughing, she went to New York, and I moved to the Hollywood Hills, and I lived across the Hollywood Bowl. Back then, I could rent an apartment for $65 a month. And it had a Murphy bed that came out of the ceiling, out of the side of the wall. And I could rent my parking space for $2 a night to people who went to see the event at the Hollywood Bowl. So, oh yeah. I didn't bring my glasses. Oh, I gave myself 5 years. And then I gave myself another 5 years. I was working on my 3rd set of 5 years when I went to a reading for The Wonderful Ice Cream Suit. This was a Ray Bradbury play which had been shortened from a short story. And in it I played Martinez. And Martinez was sort of a Romeo kind of character with an even balcony scene. And so when I returned from my first date, the boy said, "How did it go?" And I went, Ray Bradbury waited for me all afternoon. The rehearsal ended, and he called me aside and he said, "Henry, Martinez is not a rooster." So Martinez is a dove. And so the next night, I changed my name. The play ran for 6 months, and it was the longest running play at the time. And people like Ross Martin and Paul Newman me, they showed up at backstage and said hello and how much they had enjoyed it. And at that time, after the play closed, I had changed my name from Enrique Delgado to Henry Darrow for some reason. Oh, Darrow was few. There weren't that many Darrows in the film at the time. We had Leif Erikson, who was the star of our show. He had played Greta Garbo's brother in a classic of some kind. He had also worked with Marlon Brando and on the waterfront. Cameron Mitchell. He was always available. He was a scene stealer. I'll look it out the very first time. He had worked with Gary Cooper, Spencer Tracy, Clark Gable. So I had all these people to steal from. It's like, yeah, take what you can get. And of course there was the beautiful and talented Linda Gustavo, Hispanic from Argentina. I had a chance to work with Ricardo Montalban 2 times on Chaparral. I worked with Barbara Luna, Alejandro Rey, Fernando Lamas. We also had Rodolfo Acosta, who was a regular on the show. He had won the Oscar for the Mexican, I think it was Prodigaria, the Oscar for Mexico. And we also had Roberto Contreras. I've had the opportunity to work with Anthony Quinn in his series, the opportunity to work with Eddie Olmos in his series, and then Tony Plana in his series, Resurrection Boulevard, thanks to you guys. And I had a chance to work with Rita Moreno, and I had a little story to tell you at the first reading. I said, I almost danced with you 30 years ago on Summer and Smoke. She said, what happened? I said, well, the director said, anybody want to dance with her? And I thought about it for 5 seconds, and by the time I thought about it, was ready to dance with her, somebody already had her in his arms and was dancing around. And when I told her the story about the table, she just melted and cried. I became the first Hispanic to play Zorro in an animated series. I then played Zorro in something that was also for Disney. It was called Zorro and Son. And they had to shorten the wardrobe by 3 inches because that was Guy Williams' wardrobe, and he was 6'3", and I was almost 6. And then I played Zorro's father. And the new Zorro with Tommy Berger, one of the most talented, disciplined people I've ever worked with. And of course, there was Jimmy Victor, our comedic and wonderful sergeant, and the vivacious Patrice Martinez and talented Patrice Martinez. I was the first Hispanic that I was given credit for, and I won the Emmy in Santa Barbara, but I was the first senior citizen couple, opposite Margarita Cordova. Last year I worked in a film called Soda Springs. The writer, his name is Jay Pickett, he had the opportunity to hire us 2 old-timers, myself and Tom Skerritt, to play his father. And just recently, in North Carolina, Wilmington, producer by the name of Dale Calloway is doing a 5-part series on Daniel Boone before he became Daniel Boone. And she asked me, can you play the part of a Cuban tapping woman at the beginning? I said, well, I don't know. Problems with my memory. And she said, can you read cue cards? And I said, yes. She said, get me hired. I've worked with some wonderful people. James Earl Jones, I did his series. Ernie Borgnine, I did his. And I asked them both the same question. You guys have done incredible roles. And what are you doing working on television? How come? And they both answered the same thing. We love to work. And so do I. And so I thank you.
All right. And this starts the question and answer answer portion. For those of you that I haven't met, I'm Jan Pippins, and I had the delightful chore, which was not a chore at all, working with Henry on his biography. So I wanted to take any questions for Henry from the audience. If you happen to, here's your chance to ask Manolito some questions. If you have none, I've got one, and a story that you haven't told in a while. On High Chaparral, there were a lot of young Apaches that worked as extras.
Yes.
And these were actual Indians. And sometimes they had a pretty good sense of humor about stuff, didn't they?
Yeah, Jane, this makes
It's okay? Oh, okay. We had a scene where about 50 soldiers showed up to tone down these Apache kids. And the soldiers were chasing the Apaches, and the Apaches turned into a little cove, a little area sideways. And then there was a lunch break. And they were shooting bows and arrows and shotguns, etc. And the lunch passed about an hour and a half. And when the Indians chased the Apaches around the curve, those guys had put little pebbles and stones in their shotguns. So it was quite a surprise for the soldiers because they were getting peppered with heck all over the place. But they were from a school. They were from a school.
All the Apaches.
All the Apaches, yeah.
And I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, they even drove the soldiers into an arroyo.
Yes, yeah, this occurred. They got scolded.
Yes.
Hello, Henry.
Hi.
In the late 1960s, when you were filming the High Chaparral, did you ever have the opportunity to go to Puerto Rico to do publicity for the show and see your family and friends there?
That's an interesting question because my father had opened a restaurant, and I was going to go when Chaparral opened here and visit once a weekend and help the place publicity-wise. But then they delayed it a year, and by the time I got to Puerto Rico, Pop had closed the restaurant, unfortunately. But I got a chance to go to Puerto Rico, not too short after the second season, I think it was. And I was received wonderfully. The people really were nice, and I did all the usual talk shows, et cetera, et cetera. That was nice. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
And Henry, I had a second question. One thing that seemed so different about the early seasons of the High Chaparral was you filmed extensively at Old Tucson, but later you seem to be filming more in Hollywood and out at Lancaster. Was that a budgetary consideration?
Absolutely.
It was.
We used to film for about $310,000 an hour episode. Those were 6 days on location in Tucson, Arizona. And in those days, you shot 2 days on the set, and then 6 days, 6 days, and 6 days on location. Then 2 days on location, and then 4 days at the studio. And so, I mean, unfortunately, they picked the hottest days to shoot in Tucson. And I stupidly picked this black hat, woolen pants, and a suede jacket to wear. It was like, jeez. And I tried to take it off the end of the first year, and they said, no. Michael Landon always keeps his jacket on. I went, what? He said, oh yeah. Now they know you by your wardrobe. You can't take it off. And that was the end of it. When I was in Sweden one time, I had 2 parts to the show. The first part was Manolito Montoya. This was in Sweden. I even sang Ayanga Rancho Grande in Swedish, etc. And I wore my outfit. And then the second half was me as Henry Darrow singing ballads. I brought up a stool. It was awful. want to see Henry Darrow, they want to see Monolito. So I kept that wardrobe on for the rest of the run that I was there.
Now, you've had some adventures learning to use the whip. I think one thing a lot of people may not realize about this man is whenever he's had a part, he does everything he can to make it as legit as in his power. So if he's got to swing a bullwhip as Monolito, he's going to, by God, learn how to swing that bullwhip. And you did, and you had some mishaps and some haps with that.
Yeah, I used to, I bought 3 whips from Australia. 2 were the same size, 6 or 7 feet, and one was a 10-foot long whip. And I went to Sweden and was working with the 2 whips, one in each hand, back and forth. And one of the whips caught a light and brought it down. And I took the 2 whips and just threw them off stage, and that's the end of the whips in the acting. That was the end of it. But I became quite proficient. It wasn't bad. I enjoyed it. And I take cigarettes out of people's mouth. And another time I used the whip for the last time. I took a knife out of an Indian boy's hand, and the whip passed me. I mean, the knife passed my head. And I took that whip and gave it another toss and said, that's the end of that whip. So as I learned all of these wonderful things to do, I started to fall on my face, and I wound up doing nothing.
No. Yes, one.
Hi, Henry. Some of our favorite episodes included where Anthony Caruso played
Lobo. Yeah, he was.
What was he like to work with?
He was a wonderful character actor. The first time he played the most evil human being on the earth. But when he got shot, he wouldn't die. The director said, don't move your head. He came back for about 6 or 8 more. That bit worked. I never forgot it. It was like, oh my God. And then for a while I became the king of the Border Patrol. It was a series that Stony Burke did with war notes. They pull up to the border. I'm playing a border guard. And war notes is a know-it-all. He said, yeah, I'll talk to the guy. Pardoname, amigo, donde está Rosarito Beach? And I said, well, you got to take 63 font down, go down about half a mile in the mouth of the garden, and you'll be there. And I did that 2 more times, and I was called Brilliant for a while.
Well, that was on Jack Lord's first series, Stony Burke, and Henry did a beautiful job with that little part, and really that was when you and Jack Lord started what would become a very long friendship and professional working relationship.
He hired me for 3 episodes of Hawaii Five-O. I played Gene Simmons' husband in one. I played a goofball in the other, and then there was another part where I was a murderous scuzzbag. I don't quite recall, but the wonderful thing was the first year we all stayed at the Kahala Hilton. The Kahala Hilton was the #1 place in Hawaii. Then you went back the second season and it got out by the beach, and then the third year it was like Super 8 or something. It's like, oh God, what's happening? And then I had the opportunity to work with Jack Klugman in a couple of episodes of the series that he did, and working with Telly Savalas. It was a little difficult, but it was okay. He was a busy man, and he would have, I don't know, he went one time, he came and said, Henry, I can't stay for offstage dialogue, because I had asked, is he going to do the offstage dialogue or not? And everybody got quiet. I said, I just want to know the rules. I'll do whatever. He never does offstage dialogue, but well, they went and got him. He did his dialogue upstage, applauded. I said, I'll never forget that one. And the next day I had a chance to get it. He said, oh, Henry, I'm sorry, I'm going to lunch. And he had about a 3 martini lunch. When he came back, we had a scene around a pool table. I didn't give him one cue correctly. And he just pointed at me, you, huh? I said, wait.
Henry, you're being very diplomatic. I know you don't want to give away the best stuff, but you really want a lot more detail and scoop on what it was like to work with Tennessee Biles. Be sure and pick up a copy of our book upstairs in the next shop, because Henry's less diplomatic in that section. And actually, for somebody who got along with everybody, even Jack Lord, who we just mentioned, Jack Lord is known as somebody, if you remember him from Hawaii Five-0, he was a very exacting person to work with. But
he used to do something. He used to jog around the soundstage. And then this was like Jack Palance. Jack Palance used to do push-ups. So that when Jack Palance talked in the scene, you see some of his early films, he has there's a kind of a nervousness that he has. Something that's going to happen, it's going to break your back or something. And Jack did that. And then about the 3rd episode that I worked there, he had gone from running around the studio to I said, I can't run around the studio anymore. And that reminds me, one of the workshops that I worked in Hollywood was Project 58. Susan Oliver, Warren Oates, Rupert Cross, there were a whole bunch of wonderful people. And one time we worked in the basement of a senior home. And after 9 o'clock, you cannot applaud. And so it became a series of
innovative.
Yes.
Very innovative.
We were pretty good. It was a good group. Yes.
Henry, can you talk about your acting style on The High Chaparral and how it compared with Linda's and Cameron's and Life's? And secondly, the 4th season of The High Chaparral was so different because Mark Slade had left and you only did 17 episodes. Could you talk about those different questions?
Yeah, those 17 episodes. I thought I had a contract with all the episodes. And then I found out that Can and Life were the only ones who had all episodes guaranteed to be done. So after that I learned, oh, okay, it's not 17, I want the 26 or the 25 that you guys do. But acting style, Linda was very precise. If they were short 15 or 20 seconds for a scene, they'd go, Henry, you and Linda speak some Spanish. And so she would say, Manolito. I said, I said, no, I have not been drinking. You sound like you have been drinking. No, Victoria, yes, you have. I know that you have been drinking. Ah, Victoria, por favor. And then all of a sudden we had finished doing that. Leif Erikson played toward the camera a lot, 3/4 turn. He had a wonderful voice. He was precise with his work. He introduced me to his money advisor, and I made a little money investing in some property in Hawaii. Cameron Mitchell. Cam was wonderfully crazy. He was nuts. He would do stuff like, there was a scene where both of us are looking through the jail in the bars, and both of our faces are facing the camera. And I look, and the director said to Cam, one of your eyes is in one of the bars is causing a shadow. And So I looked over and I went, oh man, it's going to be easy. And when I saw the dailies the next day, I couldn't keep my eyes off Cam with that one eye that he had. I said, okay, lesson number 56. If you can lose an eye, you lose an eye.
How did you respond to Mark Slade's decision not to come back, and what were the circumstances about Mark Slade as Blue Boy not coming back?
He had some other projects. He wanted to do some films. He had a film with Willie Nelson. And then he got into a clothing line in Hawaii or Australia. I don't know why he left.
There's a huge section in our book about that. You need a copy. Because it goes into all of that fourth year, the changes, the studio changes. One of the beautiful things about this guy, among many, is that he never throws anything away. Now, that's probably been the bane of Lauren's existence. His wife is over there going, yes, he never throws anything away. But he had many, many articles, letters, personal letters, going back at the time that a lot of the factors came together to change Chaparral and eventually to pretty well kill off the TV Western. Fortunately, Henry was such an adaptable actor that he has kept working for many, many years thereafter.
I forgot what the crucial year was. All of a sudden, I had been a scuzzbag director on the Waltons. And I actually did one of these to the girl. Oh, yes, you're perfect. And I was in my early 40s at the time. But then a decade later, I was up for a show called Zorro and Son. And Eric Cohen was the producer. He was the gentleman who discovered John Travolta. So I jumped up on the desk and started to fence and almost fell off. And he said, that's it, that's what I want. So that became Zorro. Unfortunately, the worst show was the pilot. And the best was our last episode, opposite Greg Sierra, when he dons his Zorro outfit and starts to cut up my furniture with his sword. And I say, no, this way. Yeah! And smash my own furniture down the line. But those were good times. And Zorro was a character that I remember as a kid. I mean, I played him, as I said, in animation. I replaced Fernando Ramos. There happened to be two other heroes on that same DVD. Someone called Tarzan, and someone called the Lone Ranger, and Zorro was third.
But that's a wonderful cartoon series. It really is. You'll recognize Henry's voice in just a split second, and they even managed to be kind of educational at the end. They've always got a little something about California history, so the kids are informed as well as entertained. Always a good thing. Yes.
Did you grow up in Puerto Rico or in the United States?
I was born in Washington Heights, New York City, around 181st Street. And then I went to high school in Puerto Rico, and then college in Puerto Rico.
Wow.
So my Spanglish was excellent. I could say the best, toma el brumo, take the brumo. The brumo, the broom, no. We'd say things like, my aunt would say, she went to the United States, and she said she wanted China juice. And the lady said, what? What's China juice? And she said, Lugo de China. No, that's orange in Puerto Rico, China. And then other words like chinelas, and then there were some words that I mistakenly said. Luckily for Roberto Contreras, who's on the set all the time, and he said, no, you can't say that. No, this is bad. So I had a wonderful wonderful time. The best year for Chaparral was the first year, because I was stupid and ignorant. I didn't know anything. I'd stand around in that 105-degree heat. Life Erickson would say, "You better sit down," and I'd say, no, I'm fine, and I'd stand and get involved in everything. And then I started sitting down, and Life Erickson would say, "Henry, I've asked you to sit down, and I've asked you to lay down. Next time I ask you to lay down, I want you to be in your air-conditioned room." That's what I did. And by the third year, I won one award, which was a special award. It was a Western Horseman Award, and the award was, "Mr. Darrow, your acting is okay. Oh, we'll be damned. You've improved as a horseback rider." And I thought, yeah, somebody paid attention.
Well, you were a kid from New York City, so horses were not really your first thing there. Can you tell them a little bit about your first horseback ride?
Oh, I will never forget it. It was a nice big black horse, and I stupidly got off him, and he made it back to the stable by himself. It was embarrassing, it was bad. And the first time that I rode on Chaparral, the Indians were outside, and then I got on the horse, and as I'm riding out where the soldiers are inviting, I see out of the corner of my eye, Life Erickson starting to cross. And I went, "What's he doing? Hasn't he seen me with my horse?" And my horse bumped him and turned him upside down. He landed and broke his wrist. And from then on, for the next 2 years, every time I rode up to somebody, they'd all laugh around. Somehow we'd be going up a hill or a mountain, and I was on the outside, and they were happy. And then the hill, and all of a sudden I was on the inside. Everybody was moving away from me. Oh. I've been shot a couple of times with empty guns, twice. The guys said, "No, it's empty." Bam! It just went off and ripped the back of my leg. Yeah.
Henry, Warner Home Video finally released Harry O, starring you and David Jansen this summer, which leads me to ask, how was it playing a police captain, being more or less an authority figure for David Jansen? How did you like filming in San Diego? And what was going on behind the scenes which required the death of your character and the show leaving San Diego?
They had problems with the people who were on the council and the mayor. It became a major problem. Then they stopped flying in extras, and that was expensive as heck. But working with him was fun because he was a devil. He loved to do things. It was on my desk. He put together the, what do you call it? Paper clips. So I take a clip and I'll say, 6 or 8 of them. So I got even with him as he was playing with my paper clips. I connected about 10 or 12 of them. He picked it up and it was about 10 or 12. He said, "God, I just went like that." He says, he had a silver bullet camper. That was good. And he got one of the first ping pong games.
I think so.
Yeah.
He was rigged out, wasn't he?
Yeah, it was fun being with him. The problem became that he mentioned that it happened with him in Sinatra, which was every time Sinatra called him, he'd pick up the tab. That happened with me and David after a while. It was like, come on, David, let me buy this, let me buy that. Get tired of it. But that last episode was when he goes up to the bar and he says, he used to get hunched over, his jacket used to be up here. The episode said, "Grab the voice. I feel a big tequila in my friend." But, oh, okay, this is fine. And he started drinking, I think after the third episode, start drinking a little something. And then during lunch, and by the time we finished, I was having beer with him at 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock in the morning. It was like, okay, then he had dealer's label. He drank that, yeah, so he was, he hassled.
Now, you and David Jansen have had a wonderful time on camera because that show was, there were a lot of people that really cared about the quality. Jerry Thorpe, David Jansen, of course you did, and other people involved. So on camera, you were all very professional, put out an excellent product. Off camera, there were some pranks. And I seem to remember one with some t-shirts and a boat.
Yeah, there was a t-shirt. He had a t-shirt that said, Harry O, David Jansen to Harry O. And so I had t-shirts made Manny Q for Anthony Quinn. And I hired a limo, and I hired Red Glove, and pulled up the police guy on his motorcycle, came up, pulled up, stopped, opened the door, the red carpet came out, and all the guys that had the Harry O t-shirts took them off, and they had Manny Q on it. And then the same guy said, "You're all fired."
Henry, what stands out in your mind most when you think back of your series Zorro and Harry O and High Chaparral? Was it the news when you were cast in the pilot and the show was going to series, or was it the news that the studio or the network was canceling the show?
The first thing with Chaparral was just that when I did the pilot, I had that scene coming down the stairs laughing my head off and said, "I stole your horse." That one I never forget. The pilot of Zorro was so-so. The new Zorro with Duncan McGarry was wonderful because he was so friggin' disciplined. He started to work out with his weights at 4 o'clock in the morning for an hour and a half. And then I just enjoyed being with him. He was part of the A party list in Hollywood, but he never quite made it film-wise, the A-list. But he was at the A-list, and it was like, okay.
That's David Jansen.
Yes, David Jansen.
Talking about there, yes, he was, and you shared a similar work ethic with him too, also, because David Jansen was an extremely hard-working actor, as was Henry, as very much.
Well, I had. When we did the pilot, I opened up my tie when we had the last scene, and I sort of put my head back and started to do my Manolito laugh. And Jerry Thorpe said, "Henry, come over here." I said, "Yeah." He said, "David is there." I said, "What?" "David's the lead. You don't do that. Keep your tie up and play it straight." And that was that. It's like, oh, okay, got it. I thought I could have some fun doing this.
Yes.
You've been around long enough to see the evolution and the demise of the Western on television. Do you think that they might bring back Westerns? Just kids need that kind of action.
I don't see that.
And why
I don't
not?
see it. Well, it's expensive. You rent horses. You rent wranglers who take care of horses. You have doubles who ride for actors. It's a whole process. And I mean, I know the last year of Chaparral, our new producer did a big shootout of Indians and soldiers. And we deliberately took a shot from the top of the mountain. And when you look down, there wasn't one body. The network said, no one was killed. And it's like, no, you guys said no shooting, no killing. Everybody got shot, and then they got up. But we never saw them get on a horse or do anything else other than just fall down and then get up. And it was amazing, yes.
You've shared some great stories with us about your acting career, which we really enjoyed hearing. But I'd like to know if you would tell us a little bit about your work as an activist in the Latino community.
I did that for quite a long time when I joined Nosotros. Nosotros was an organization started with Ricardo Montalban as president, and I was first vice president. We did a number of TV shows. We just filled in Joey Bishop promoting the image of Latinos. And I think after 15 years or 20 years, somebody else steps in and just takes over and you go, go ahead, do whatever you want. And then people, oh, you're not working hard enough. It's like, I already did that, man. It's like, I've done it. I can't keep doing it anymore. You know, it's exhausting. Nowadays, I don't know. I mean, this gentleman here, I say, okay, a possible pilot. I don't know what the exceptions are. I don't know when it becomes a reasonable option to have a Latino. All I know is many decades ago, Gilbert Roland had an idea for a series with me as his son. And the network said, no, nobody will buy two Latinos. That was it. And then all of a sudden, when I was up and I did a thing for NBC, the answer there was, well, we already have a Latin show with Anthony Quinn. What the heck does that have to do with anything? It was like, geez. And then when Chaparral went off the air, I started to write congressmen and senators that I had lunch with the vice president. And he quietly said, Henry, it's better for you to back off because this is the fight between David Dortort and NBC. You're going to get burned. So that was the end of that. But gradually throughout the years, you gain a little more confidence. I mean, these guys know. You gain confidence, you know what you can say, you know what you can, you know what you can do, you know how far you can go. I tell a director, I'd like to say this line because it reminds me of my father. He said, oh, I'm never giving you this. Please, come on, just do the line. You know, it's like, oh, okay. So you do it. And that's how it is. And then politically, I'm not aware of what groups are now viable or the different theaters. I know that Tony Plana had classical theater, and I worked a couple of his plays. We did the Spanish version of Cyrano de Bergerac, and it was just a delight. It was wonderful. Jimmy Victor was in it. He was just wonderful, brilliant.
We have, and I wanted to add also, Henry was very instrumental later in his career as an activist with helping Yuka Rivera and some others get the Screen Actors Guild started in Puerto Rico. That's something that a lot of people may not know about. He's always been there for Puerto Rico as well as, and spent a lot of time promoting the island, promoting the film industry in that island.
I had the one opportunity to work with Raul Julian. Never worked with him. Worked with Jose Ferrer, never worked with him. Miriam Colon, never worked with her. But we were all in the same film. And it was called Isabel la Negra. I guess a literal translation would be Isabel the Black. And this was a woman who had given hundreds of thousands of dollars to the Catholic Church. But the church refused to bury her in hollow ground because she had been a prostitute decades before. That was the end of that. But I went down to Mexico and shot a series called The Crystal Empire. And in the morning, the company shot it in Spanish. And in the afternoon and into the evening, they shot in English. And immediately you saw what the difference was. The actors in Mexico had little pea pods in their ear, and they get the dialogue recited to them. And so every now and then you'll hear, I said. Then it would be like, Henry, get up. No, it's the character. No. And so we rehearsed all the time. The American cast just continued to rehearse. We were good. But when you saw their stand-up, sometimes it was like 5 people in a row talking. And they turned sideways to talk to each other, and they were getting all the information in here. And we tried it a couple of times, but I couldn't do it. I just, yes.
That time for one boy.
Hi. Pretty good.
My question is, what would you advise to the
Around in the beginning in my 20s, I did play after play. I just did a lot of theater. Always was up and around, and then gradually you do 1 or 2 lines, and then I drove my agent around, a guy named Carlos Alvarado, who handled Latinos, he handled Hispanics. So I went from, hey, Mr. Delgado, to, hey, Hank, how's it going? And one of my agents had said, you know, you should change your name from Hank Delgado. I said, to what? He said, to Frank. Frank Delgado? I said, yeah, Frank sounds better. I said, I don't think so. That's not a name change, come on. But I would say, I would say, just doing as much theater as you can. Back in my days, you had a lot of little theater where producers and casting directors actually went there. They saw you in plays. Forget the fact that they could see you in the leading role in a play and then cast you in 3 lines and something. That was like, oh, that's okay. That's okay. And different shows, different people, it was like, how come I didn't get that part? Well, so-and-so, what about him? Well, he's a friend to you at Brenner. Oh, he's a photographer too. And then you wind up making connections, and you start to meet people and casting people, and all of a sudden you're part of the game. You're not an outsider anymore. And in the old days, I'd have scripts delivered to my house. Now I have to go read for 2 or 3 months. I had to read for 2 or 3 months, and there'd be people that, oh, in the old days it was like, oh, here comes Henry, the friggin' series, yeah, I see you here. Everybody, when I look around now, everybody's had a series, and we're all on the same level. It was like, yeah, that's what happens. You all get on the same level. You just go all the way. And I think the grandpa roles have been written. I'm not sure, but I get the feeling that they've been written. But I can sit down and read cue cards, so I'm fine.
Henry, we know this is a very special day for you because it's your birthday.
Yes, it is.
So, we have a little surprise.
So, I hope I get hired as that Cuban captain.
Thank you, and happy birthday. Thank you all for being here, and we have some pre-cut pieces for all of you to enjoy. And if I can ask those of you who I recognized earlier, Rudy, Pepe, and Dennis and Jesus, just to come up here for a quick picture so we can get a group shot of everybody. And Patrice Martinez, I'm sorry, I didn't know you were here. If you could come up here too, please. Thank you.
You gonna go say hi to us?
And the brother there is our governor. Thank you.
Can we get everybody here for the group picture? And then we can meet everybody. Photographer. Where's Jan Pippins? Jan Pippins! Get over here. Group picture right now. Let's
I don't want to stand.
¿Quién es esta bien? ¿Quién es esta señora? ¿Quién es esta señora?
You have to turn it on right.
Who are you, ma'am? Who are you? Dan Shepard.
Oh, Dan Shepard.
Oh, Dan! I just wanted to make sure that it worked so much. Sorry. Okay.
Calm down.
Swam naked in the lake for me. Have everybody. Lauren, you should be in this picture. You're the wife. All right, here we go. All right. Everybody look over here, please. All right. All right, here we go. 1, 2, and 3. Again.
Sometimes you'll get the picture and they'll say, "Who's that lady in there?"
Yeah.
You know, oh, some fan jumped in there.
Okay. Oh, we're good. That was his king? Was that his king that was next to the seat?
Yeah.
Okay, I kind of scooted it over there.
Okay, good.
Where's the microphone? I need a microphone.
Yes, it is.
Where's the technician? I have a picture.
Angelita.
Jessica, where are you?
One more. I know. I mean,
No, she here? Are you doing Yes. Okay, so you pay, and I'll take the book and hand it to him. How about that? We get him. Yeah, it's him. He's been in everything, you know. That's what my husband said when we were working on the book. You've been picked up a lot of Nice, good looking.
There you go. Actors don't like it.
Linda. And who do I pay for a photo?
That's, oh, okay, me.
Okay, there you go. Jan, I'm going to put this chair behind you.
You may.
Get your book. Okay, and then Maggie's going to be here to take care
Okay,
of the
great. Okay, so you're going to be, if you, whoever takes the money, I'll pass the books to Henry, or you give them to.
Thank you so much.
You charge 20 for photos?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what this, yeah, that's what this is.
Yes.
Oh, okay, you're prepared. You brought us ready. All right. All right.
I think it's 25. What's better?
I'm a salesman.
I can tell.
Henry, Jerry.
Hey, Jerry, how are you?
¿Ya viste a Liz? Liz. Hey, Liz. ¿Ya viste a Henry?
Of course.
Is it possible to get a photo?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
In fact, I can even take it.
Oh, that would be
I'll take it.
wonderful. Oh, there you go.
I said,
Thank you.
oh, okay.
Just press
There
it
you go.
Yep.
Over there.
He probably doesn't need one, because that's what mine off.
Here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And that's going to be to who?
To Richard.
To Richard.
I did More Tales of Zorro with Henry.
Oh,
You know the book?
I do.
We promoted
I
your
have it.
biography a little bit in there.
I have it.
This is Erin. She helped with the editing. My fiance also.
That's
Yes.
good to meet you.
Real pleasure to meet you.
Yes, I did. I've got a copy and I enjoyed it.
I hope so.
Really nice. I recommend it to all those bazillion Zorro fans out there. We've got some really good Zorro stories.
Well, that's what we wanted promoted in that introduction.
And you need to tell all the Zorro fans to go buy a copy of Henry's book. And if they've got Kindle, if they don't need, if they don't really want an autograph, or even if they don't even have it, even if they do want a hard copy at some point, Kindle has got a free trial. So, gets him to free button to past being a free now. Oh yeah, all the way to Henry Darrow and got a real active face.
Uno, dos y tres.
Perfecto.
Y otro. Uno, dos y tres. Fantastic. It's the train.
Cute show. It had its moments. I think it could have been maybe a little. Particularly, Henry is such a wonderful lady. Thank you for coming.
And you said that the little kids, the 11 and 12-year-olds went for Mark's Slade. But you said the mature 12 and 14-year-olds went for you. Well, I was one of those mature 14-year-olds. I still have this.
Oh my
From
God.
1967.
Look at that. 1967. Mark Slade, tell us all.
And wallet photos that we could carry in our wallets.
Holy cow.
So I wanted to say I'm just as discerning now as I was then. It was a pleasure to meet you. And I thank you so much. My name is Lucy, and thank you so much for the pleasure that you've given us. Oh, please don't get up. God bless you. So sweet.
That's my best picture.
You made my day. It is actually. It is actually.
That's my best photograph.
That is a great
That is a great shot. Be damned.
Well,
I used to write lyrics. Okay.
No. I love it if you would sign it to Lucy, Lucy.